So I watched that Nimona movie recently, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, the plot was predictable and cliche, and included some of my most hated cliches like the obvious twist villain and the always tiresome misunderstanding where the characters have a fight and you know they're gonna get back together in the end and say they're sorry, blah blah blah. We've all been here before. Wait, didn't I say I liked this movie? Well, yes, I did. But that's because while the plot wasn't anything special, I really liked the characters. At least the two main protagonists. They made the movie worth it for me. I've always said characters are the most important thing in any work. You can have the greatest story in the world, but if your characters acting it out are terrible, then it doesn't really matter. On the flip side, you can have a very cliche and predictable plot, like this movie, and still make something that people can really enjoy thanks to a well written and likable characters. So, what is the plot? Well, it focuses on a newly crowned knight named Balster who was framed for a crime he didn't commit. While on the run, he stumbles across Nimona, a shape shifting being who, like everyone else, thinks he committed the crime and wants to be his sidekick. Why? Because she is seen as a monster by everyone else and wants to break down the establishment and cause chaos and stuff. And just from that description, I bet you can tell what happens in the entire movie, because I sure could. So let's focus on the characters. Nimona is an utter delight. She's a little chaos gremlin, and I love it. She's kind of like Gru from Despicable Me, trying to be a villain, but deep down she has too big of a heart. She's spunky, she's loud, she's funny, she's got a lot going on under the hood, and we learn a lot more about her as time goes on. Balster is the straight man to Nimona's chaos, and they complement each other perfectly. Balster was a commoner who strived to be a knight to protect the kingdom, but some saw him as unworthy as he's a commoner, so when the big crime goes down, everyone is quick to condemn him. He's a very likable character, and we want to see him clear his name, and yes, it's obvious who the real villain is, like I said, but the journey him and Nimona go on to find the truth is really fun. The humor in this movie is pretty good too. I mean, I wasn't roaring with laughter or anything, but I wasn't groaning either, and it made me chuckle a lot. If there is one character, though, that needed work, it's the villain. Seriously, this villain is so boring. Oh, also, Balster has a boyfriend. Unfortunately, he is also a bit weak, and that's mainly because we don't see these two interact as much as we should, because Balster's always on the run. I mean, yeah, there's this whole thing of his boyfriend being the captain of the Knights, so he has to hunt him down, but since this plot is very cliche, they just go through the typical story beats that we always see with these kind of stories. I've seen this so many times before, and while Balster's boyfriend isn't a bad character or anything, he's also nothing special. We don't even know how these two came to be a couple. Did Balster look up to his boyfriend because he was so skilled, or did his boyfriend admire Balster for his determination to be a knight despite everyone shunning him? I don't think we even get a flashback. I mean, I can tell they care for each other, but I wasn't convinced they were in love, thanks to the lack of screen time and chemistry. But whatever. The focus is clearly on Balster and Nimona's relationship, and that's the best part of the movie, so I really shouldn't complain. The one word I would use to describe this movie is fun. Also maybe cute. It's a fun and cute movie. I never read the graphic novel the movie is based on, so I don't know if it's a faithful adaptation, but I can say it's a fun movie. I actually didn't have any expectations going into this movie, besides the animation looks neat and it might be fun. I mean, when it comes to Netflix, I'm always a bit cautious, but this turned out to be a nice one. So what about you guys? Are you interested in seeing it? Did you see it? And if you did, what did you think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.